The moment she crumpled into the aisle, clutching her chest and gasping that she couldn't breathe, every head on the plane turned. Passengers murmured. A flight attendant rushed over. That's when I realized this wasn't a genuine medical emergency. This was a performance. And somehow it was about my seat. I was flying alone that morning, early, still half asleep, but unusually comfortable. I'd splurged for the front row bulkhead seat. Extra legroom, easy exit, worth every cent. I boarded early, stowed my bag, and settled in with that quiet satisfaction that comes when a travel plan actually works. That feeling lasted maybe 3 minutes. She appeared before pushback. Mid-50s, stiff smile, arms crossed, exuding judgment. She stared at my seat, then me, then back to the seat. No greeting, no excuse, just a sharp sigh loud enough to cut over the boarding announcements. "You're in my seat," she said. I calmly presented my boarding pass. Same row, same seat number, everything matches. Her frown deepened, as if reality itself was inconvenient. Without another word, she marched off to her flight attendant, muttering under her breath. I thought it was over. It wasn't. Minutes later, the attendant returned with her. She hovered behind them, arms folded, chin high, eyes locked on my legs stretched out in comfort. She says she needs a seat for medical reasons. The attendant explained gently. "What kind?" I asked. She jumped in, talking over us both. Bad knee, severe anxiety, claustrophobia. She couldn't sit anywhere else. She had to be front row. I noticed the story shifted slightly each time she repeated it. First a knee issue, then panic attacks, then circulation problems. Medical buzzwords thrown like darts, hoping one would stick. The attendant looked unsure. Everyone nearby was watching. I hated that unspoken pressure to give in, but I'd paid for the seat. None of her claims matched the calm, deliberate way she was standing. "I'm sorry," I said, steady but firm. "This is my assigned seat." Her polite mask slipped. Eyes narrowed, voice dropping colder. "Fine. Don't blame me for what happens next." She stepped into the aisle and collapsed, not gently, not accidentally. Knees buckling, arms flailing, loud gasp as she slid down. Chaos erupted. Someone screamed. A man stood. The attendant shouted for help. And there I was, frozen, noticing details no one else did. Her breathing was loud but controlled. She peeked one eye open, gauging witnesses, then groaned, louder, claiming, "I'm having a panic attack. I need that seat." That's when it clicked. This wasn't desperation. It was strategy. The captain called for a medical professional. A paramedic responded. She shifted slightly, brushing her hand against my seat as if staking claim. Kneeling beside her, he stayed calm, asking simple questions. Her answers were inconsistent. Pulse racing, then normal. Shortness of breath, except when speaking. It hit me. She wasn't trying to scare me. She expected everyone to force me out. But the paramedic had seen this before. He didn't rush, didn't panic. While flight attendants hovered and passengers whispered, he measured, calculated. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "look at me." She gasped, clutched her chest, fingers digging into her blouse. Finally, a weak nod. "I can't breathe. I'm going to pass out." He felt her wrist, counted her pulse, checked his watch, eyes calculating, not panicked. "How long have you felt this way?" he asked. "Since I sat down," she said instantly. "Too fast. Confined space." "Severe panic attacks," she added, tilting her head toward me, clearly framing me as the villain. He nodded slowly. "And how often do you get these attacks?" "All the time," she replied. "Unpredictable," he said, asking her to take a slow breath with him. She complied, but the breath was deep, steady, controlled. No tremor, no hitch. He noticed it, too. "Any history of heart conditions?" he continued. "Yes, sometimes," she said, hesitating. "What kind?" He frowned, clearly annoyed by her vagueness. "I don't remember the name." Around us, the cabin had gone quiet in that uncomfortable way where everyone pretends not to stare while absolutely staring. A woman across the aisle leaned forward. Behind us, someone muttered, "This is ridiculous." The flight attendant shot a warning glance. The paramedic stood slightly and addressed the crew. "Do you have a blood pressure cuff?" They did. As they wrapped it around her arm, her eyes snapped open. "Is that necessary?" she asked sharply. "Standard procedure. Just relax." The reading came back normal. Not just acceptable, perfectly normal. He asked her to sit up. She did instantly. No wobble, no hesitation. Passengers exchanged glances. The illusion was cracking. "Ma'am," the paramedic said, lowering his voice but still audible, "your vitals are stable. Breathing steady. I'm not seeing an acute medical emergency." Her face hardened. "You don't know what I'm feeling." "That's true," he said calmly. "But I know what panic attacks look like, and I know when someone is using one to get something they want." That did it. She snapped upright, suddenly full of energy. "Are you accusing me of lying? I'm saying that if you were in real distress, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you right now," he replied evenly. The cabin buzzed softly with tension. She looked around, realizing her audience had vanished. Turning to the flight attendant, she hissed, "So what? You're just going to let him humiliate me? I need that seat." The attendant swallowed. "Ma'am, if you're medically cleared, we cannot force another passenger to move." Her eyes flicked back at me, burning. "You could still do the right thing," she whispered. Before I could respond, the paramedic spoke again. "One more thing. If your panic attacks are severe enough to require special seating, you should have documentation, or at least mention it before boarding." Silence. She opened her mouth, closed it, then did something unexpected. She smiled. "Fine," she said sweetly. She stood without help, brushed herself off, and walked away, completely recovered. No dizziness, no chest pain, no shortness of breath. But as she passed my row, she leaned in close and whispered something that made my stomach drop. "This isn't over." I realized she wasn't embarrassed. She was angry. People like her don't stop after losing once. She didn't raise her voice again. The way she sat 2 rows back, aisle side, was calm, almost serene. She buckled in slowly, folded her hands, and stared straight ahead. But every few seconds, I felt her eyes on me. The plane pushed back, safety demo, engines humming. Everyone tried to relax, but the tension lingered like static. I expected another outburst, collapse, or scene. Instead, she waited. About 20 minutes into the flight, just as lights dimmed, a call button chimed behind me. Then another. "I'm not feeling well again." Her voice carried forward, soft and now fragile. "I think it's my heart." A different attendant approached, unsure. I watched her press 2 fingers to her neck dramatically, eyes squeezed shut. "Call the paramedic?" the attendant asked. "I don't want to cause trouble," she said loud enough for half the cabin to hear. But I was treated poorly earlier. Stress might have triggered something. There it was, the pivot. She wasn't after the seat anymore. She was after revenge. The paramedic returned, arms crossed. Faking or exaggerating medical symptoms on an aircraft is serious. It diverts crew attention, delays flights, and can force emergency landings. Her eyes widened. "I never said I was faking," she snapped. "You didn't have to. Your vitals are normal, breathing steady, and symptoms only appear when the seat issue comes up." The lead flight attendant intervened. "Ma'am, if this were a real emergency, we'd land. That would involve paperwork, questioning, and airline medical review." That was the moment the truth surfaced. She straightened, scoffed. "All this over a seat?" The paramedic raised an eyebrow. "Because I always sit up front," she said bitterly. "And I'm not letting some stranger tell me no." There it was. No illness, no anxiety, no panic, just entitlement. The captain acted quickly. She was instructed to remain seated, stop using the call button unless it was a real emergency, and comply with crew directions or risk security on arrival. She didn't speak again. As I gathered my bag, I passed her row. She wouldn't look at me. Jaw tight, lips thin, eyes fixed on the seat in front of her like it had personally betrayed her. Walking off the plane, I realized something strange. She never wanted the seat. She wanted control. And once she lost it, the act fell apart.